Welcome to Center State CEO's semi-monthly podcast, Talk CNY, presented by NBT Bank.
On Talk CNY, you get an inside look at the people, projects, and planning moving Central New York forward.
I'm Andrew Fish, Senior Vice President of Member and Business Experience at Center State CEO, the region's leading business leadership and economic development organization.
And I'm Kate Hammer, Business Coach and Member at Center State CEO. We are your hosts for Talk CNY. Take a moment right now to subscribe in your listening app for new episodes every other Wednesday.
On this episode of Talk CNY, we'll talk with Tim Kennedy, President of Advanced Media New York, about the Good Life CNY and how this effort is helping to attract talent back to Central New York. Tim, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Talk CNY.
I'm thrilled to be here, Andrew.
Yeah.
Kate, I am, as I was telling you before, I am a subscriber to your podcast, and you guys do a terrific job for all our listeners out there. Not now, but at the end, perhaps hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the podcast.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate the plug.
Yeah, and maybe there's never a wrong time to hit subscribe.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Well, I wanted to pay attention.
Yeah.
Yes, pay attention. So, Tim, you are the president of Advanced Media New York.
Correct.
And we're so excited to have you here. So Advanced Media New York operates Syracuse.com, The Good Life, among other publications. And a big part of what you do is tell stories about the region.
Right.
Why is that so important to you?
You're right. Most people know me as the president of Advanced Media New York, the publisher of the Post-Standard and Syracuse.com, and we're storytellers. We employ, professional journalists and editors that live here in the community, that know the community, that tell stories about the community. We use professional journalistic standards to tell those stories, to establish our brand, and really to inform the community. We do that through storytelling. I think we do a great job. No newsroom across, upstate New York has won more awards in the last 10 years than the newsroom down the street here at Syracuse.com and the Post-Standard. There was a great newsroom when I got here 10 or 11 years ago. It's still a fabulous newsroom. Again, I think it's important to have a healthy, vibrant local news organization. And that's what we do. We tell stories. We've been doing it for 194 years. There's been a lot of different versions of the Post-Standard, flags for the Post-Standard in various newspapers. We started Syracuse.com in the mid-1990s. We're on all these different platforms because you have to tell stories on every platform today in this digital age. So we've evolved with the times, and I think we're terrific at it. I think storytelling is important. The community has a story to tell, and that's really what we're here to talk about, is the good life and what will be. This is CNY. But, at the heart of all this is great storytelling, and that's at the heart of our company and our mission and what we do.
It's great. And, it's a great segue right into the next question, because in 2020, we partnered Center State CEO, Advanced Media, Onondaga County, and we launched the Good Life Initiative to tell the story of our region. But I want to let you, in your words, talk about why we did that. What was the intent of Good Life CNY? And, frankly, how are we going about trying to reach that goal?
Yeah, it's an interesting story to look back. And so I'll take folks back to the beginning. In 2018, again, a little shout out for Center State. At a Center State CEO board meeting in 2018, the topic first came up. And, this is the kind of work that Center State does to convene folks, board members in this case, to talk about issues that are important to the community and to get after it. And whether you're a member or not a member, you benefit from those discussions and those outcomes and those programs. And it's just one of the benefits that Center State brings to our community. So, the origin story is, I think, pretty interesting. So 2018, we gather just down the street here in the Red Arts House, the Red House Arts Building. I think they had just moved in down in the Sibley's Building in phase one of that project, and we had a board meeting there. And I know that the board members that are listening probably will remember this. And the conversation veered toward a problem, right? A problem that companies in our community have, and they still have today, which is attracting talent from outside the region. And, you think about it, if you're higher education and you're trying to recruit a professor, a high-powered professor in a growing field, how do you get them to attract them to the community? The hospitals and healthcare, you hear it all the time, doctors, surgeons trying to recruit that kind of talent from, again, outside the community. defense, high tech, the advanced manufacturing here. How do we get engineers and programmers again from outside the community? So it started with a problem, which a lot of the in an opportunity, right, which a lot of the center state work centers around or evolves around. So the conversation got to, hey, one of the issues that we have as a community is we don't tell our story well, and member after member started speaking up, and that's true. And after a point in time, I kind of listened for a while, and at one point I kind of spoke up and I said, kind of said what I just said to you guys here. Hey, there is good news out there, but we just don't have a place where we can curate all that good news and put it in a place where people can easily ship that. Think of it as a brochure or a pamphlet to somebody who's looking to move into this community. So I said, hey, I get it. Let me take this project. And I talked to Rob. I said, hey, let's do some research. We'll fund. So Advanced Media New York paid for some research. We wanted to look at this question and figure out what is a solution that we could bring back to Center State and the members and the sponsors and say, hey, here's a chance to do this. So, our origin story goes back to 2018. Yeah. 2019, we built the Good Life site. We can talk about that in a minute. And then COVID hit, which was a bit of an issue for just about everybody.
Sure.
But, I think I like I like the way we went through the process. We were focused on what the problem and what we were trying to do with the solution. And I think we came up with a good product, a good project. And I think we did good work. And now we need to retool it for the future. But, the origin story is interesting, and I'm sure a lot of folks that are listening that were in that room remember.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a fun process to go through and great product that we ended up rolling out.
Yeah, so about the website, what sort of traction are you seeing, and who is visiting the Good Life?
Yeah, so the Good Life, about 600,000 or so visitors over the course of the years, and I think we've had about 20,000 or so folks engage with the jobs, which are the important thing about trying to introduce. Hey, there's a lot of jobs here in Central New York for you, and we've had about 20% of those folks actually engage with applying for a job, supplying their information, or reaching out to a company. So we've had success that we can demonstrate with what we've done with the Good Life. But I think there were limitations to the way we went about it. What we did was we curated a lot of the content that we produce either in the Post Standard, Syracuse.com, New York Up, another website that we run, or Central New York, the Good Life magazine.
Right.
So a lot of that content shows up in the Good Life website here, but we don't really create original content for it. And what we've done over time is we've used our digital marketing solutions to help drive audience. So we know, for instance, from the research that a lot of our companies are looking for professionals that are moving from, say, the Northeast. So we target markets in the Northeast heavily with our digital marketing solution. So we've relied a lot on that, and again, curated the storytelling we're already doing to create the site. And again, I think we've done a nice job. I know Center State and a lot of it's in many companies and some of the attraction projects here have used the Good Life extensively to highlight again the quality of life here in the region, and have used it successfully in many of those projects. So proud of that. I think we all should be proud of that. But I think with the challenges that we continue to face and will face with the build out of Micron and all of the add-on suppliers and growth in this community, we're going to take a fresh look at it. That's what we're doing.
We're also seeing, we talk about this term a little bit, boomerangs coming back to the community, right? You send the people out and they come back, hence the term boomerang. But we're seeing a little bit more of that. We're seeing an influx of population again. Do you have any specific stories around that you want to share that are a result of maybe some of this targeted marketing or people that we're seeing coming back to the community?
Well, actually, one of the things that's interesting about boomerangs, I was looking at the original research, getting ready for the podcast, and it's not that the concept was new with the research, but one of the things that we heard from companies was that when they are successful in attracting talent from outside the region, most likely they have some connection to Syracuse.
Sure.
They went to school here, they have family here, they grew up here. As a matter of fact, we had one of the companies we interviewed told us, matter of fact, if they get a candidate who has no connection to Syracuse, don't even bother. Right? Don't even bother going after them. This is back in 2018. I think things have changed, and I think the current research tells us that too. But that's a telling tale of boomerangs, and I think everybody has a story about a neighbor or a family member or somebody who's come back to Syracuse to work because of the quality of life. We feature So, a lot of that came out of the research, and I think we need to expand the pool beyond boomerangs right now.
Right.
But we did a series where we did interviews and videos of boomerangs and put that on the site in our shop at Advanced Media New York. We've got a number of cases of our talent that have come back to Syracuse and that are boomerangs, and you just see more and more of that in the community. It's a good story, one we're going to continue to tell, but I think increasingly we're going to have to rely on non-boomerangs to really fill our labor needs. We're talking about boomerangs, but it occurs to me, Kate, from our discussion before the podcast, that you indeed are a boomerang. What is your boomerang story?
Oh, that is the truth. Yes. After college, I moved out to Chicago and I was there for a few years. And I thought it's so important to have this big city experience. And I've got to get out of my hometown and go do something new and fresh. And that's a way to kind of like prove yourself or really go out and live and do a thing. And what I realized being in a big city is actually there are a lot of drawbacks there too. It can be really difficult to get around. Commute is really long. Street parking is a whole other animal. Whenever we hear anyone complain about parking downtown, it's like nothing compared to anywhere else, right? I mean,
Right.
so there are just all of these comforts that I remembered from being here in central New York that I missed. And so coming back, settling down, having my kids be able to be close to my parents.
Right.
And so having, that relationship with their grandparents has been so wonderful. Like you said, the Four Seasons, the experience here of hills. If you ever have lived somewhere flat, it's just, and it's, every place has their ups and downs, but being able to go home has some very clear advantages. And I'm so glad that I did.
Well, that is the boomerang story. I think anyone who works in a company here who's been actively recruiting knows that is a common story. Why people look to come back to Central New York for all those great reasons.
We got a lot of growth coming. It's a good place for us to pause, and we'll continue that conversation. First, we're going to take a quick break and hear from Talk CNY's presenting sponsor, NBT Bank.
Every day at NBT Bank, we focus our business around all the ways we can help yours. We're large enough to offer leading business and digital solutions, but local enough to ensure personalized one-on-one service. So turn to NBT Bank for a full range of business solutions, like capital and treasury management services, even fraud protection, and see how NBT Bank is just the right size to help you do big things. Visit nbtbank.com to learn more and start a conversation. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
We are back with Tim Kennedy from Advanced Media New York to talk more about the Good Life CNY, which you hinted at some changes happening, possibly, right? It's been evolving a bit, and it sounds like there's going to be a relaunch of the brand. Can you tell us more?
Correct. Yes, I can. I can't really reveal all the secrets, but
Just
we are just a few. Yeah, we'll get to a little bit of that later. But yes, we've been working extensively for probably the last 6 to 9 months on what do we need to do now. The needs in the community and the business community have not changed. They've increased, and we think that the site needs to increase to respond to that. And we have some ideas. So what we did was we fielded research again. We wanted to make sure we had data to support what we were going to do, and we went out, and I think the headlines on the research were, a lot of the assumptions or the research that we got in 2018, a lot of it hasn't changed. What is the quality of life? What constitutes the quality of life? Why would they consider moving to Central New York? But there were things we wanted to dig into. And, one was specifically about the brand, the original brand, goodlifecny.com. Didn't resonate. We heard that from users. And so we wanted to go out and test some ideas about what a brand in a different URL would do. And we tested a number of them. And one of them was This Is CNY. So This Is CNY.com. And one of the things we found in the research, which is a little different from over the 5 years from the original research that changed, was when we asked respondents about whether they, in New York, do you know what CNY is or was, or exactly the question. But there was really much better recognition of CNY as a place. So that was encouraging. That let us think. And we thought, okay, so This Is CNY can resonate. So, we'll see the creative. So we have a map of of the state of New York, and we have This Is CNY across it, and we think that'll tell the story well and avoid and get rid of some of that confusion about what exactly is the good life. We know what the good life is, but it didn't resonate from a brand perspective. So we're going to change the brand to This Is CNY, the heartbeat of New York, and we got some cool executions around that. And the other thing that we believe about the site, and we heard from the research, is we need more fresh content. And so we're going to still curate the terrific content that we produce at Syracuse.com and New York Up and the other places, Post Standard. But we're going to generate fresh content that focuses and tells the story of, the quality of life, why we all live here, why we believe in this place. And we're going to do that with a dedicated resource. And I think the other thing that we can do is leverage community input a lot better. Without going too deep into the woods, the Good Life we launched, we curate the content, we push it out there, but we really haven't focused it on folks in Central New York to say, hey, put this in your social feeds, add a story here, help us tell what's your story about the good life in Central New York. So we think we can leverage the community more with the new site design and the new resources we're going to put against it. But I think that the factors that make up the quality of life here, they haven't changed.
Yeah.
If anything, they've gotten better. I think one thing, weather is something that we always talk about up here, and it's a two-edged sword. We have 4 seasons, and people love that. That's part of the quality of life. But of course, we have winters,
right,
and that scares away many people. And the research showed that it's generally the older age demographic that equates sort of winter with bad and is a negative when it comes to climate. And, I think there may be reasons for that. I think, younger generation is more in tune with climate change, you might say, and what's happening. And I think, this didn't show up in the research, but I think, the 4 seasons and the climate around here increasingly is going to be an advantage for our community.
For sure. Tim, it's really perfect timing that we're going through this launch and rebrand. We've been talking about this all year on the podcast. We're at such an important moment in our community where we've got growth ahead of us, where we've got the opportunity for not just the growth from Micron, but we're hearing from all of our members, from all of our companies. They're looking for people. They're looking to attract talent to this region. And we really are going to have to bring that in from the outside. And the Good Life is such a great tool, soon to be This Is CNY is such a great tool for that, because it allows us to tell that story, right? It allows us to tell that story, promote the jobs that are available on the job board. I think the last time I checked, there was like 5,400 job postings that were on that site, which is phenomenal.
Just a few.
And which interesting, not to cut you off, but I think that was one of the things in the original research was we heard from people, well, how many jobs are there? Right. And so if you're thinking about moving to an area, right, where any area, you want to know not only is the job I'm going to take right there, but what happens, where do I go from there? And I think that we have surprised people because the depth of the number of jobs in these well-paying, very technical roles that we feature on the site. And that was important from day one, was that counter about, hey, how many jobs like that are here? And that's a special thing that we do.
Yeah.
You're sure right about that.
And I'm excited for us to, really push this tool even more. Collaboratively working together, bringing the businesses in this community together. We Center State have committed to taking our community guide that we produce each year and partnering with Advanced Media to put that on that as a resource, so that really we're, again, bringing things together, curating them in one place to tell that story. But if you were to kind of say, how could we as a community leverage this tool better? How are we going to spread the word to support this growth? What would you like to see happen from the business community? Like, what's the message you want to send around this initiative?
Well, the message is we're going to retool the strategy. We're going to rebrand as This Is CNY. We're going to place Katrina Tulloch, who is one of our most talented journalists at Advanced Media New York, is going to be our sort of editor-in-chief, and she's going to run the site, and she's going to create fresh content. And she's going to go out and find stories and talk to the community and, again, tell those fresh stories. And that's where that's where it starts, right? So that kind of connection to what stories do we need to tell? We want to hear. We've had a focus group that we've always used to try to help surface stories. We'll be more aggressive with that. And that's where members come in, both sponsors for the site, members of Center State CEO and non-members alike. But we want to hear those stories. We want to get that input. And then we want folks to help share This Is CNY on their social networks, through their networks, businesses. We want anyone can use it. Anyone can refer to it. If you're trying to recruit somebody right now, you can go out and use this say, hey, you want to know more about what it's like to live here, what the schools are like here, what the Four Seasons are, what is the quality of life, you can use the site. And that's what we want. And, the day, we'll be out asking for sponsorships.
Sure.
And we're going to be out asking companies to help support the effort here, what we're doing. And we have sponsorship packages that we have sold since we started the site, and sponsorship packages that we'll have for This Is CNY. We'll do a little bit of a reveal on November 16th
Yes, yep.
at the Economic Champions Luncheon.
Yep, we're excited.
So you'll hear more about that. We've got some creative that we're working on. You'll see that pages of the Post Standard and on Syracuse.com and in different digital channels. So we'll be out promoting This Is CNY shortly, but the big reveal will be at the Center State event. I encourage folks to sign up for the Center State event on the 16th. Come out and see us. You'll see a booth and some promotion for This Is CNY. And then shortly after that, you'll see us out engaged in the community, looking for stories, looking for companies that have stories to tell about boomerangs, about people that have moved into the community. Share with us what is the quality of life from your perspective, and we'll share those stories with others. And that's what we do.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I've found really important to understand is those sponsorship opportunities. Those are the ways in which we're leveraging these stories and pushing them out even further, right? These are what's driving some of those opportunities to market and to promote into these other regions, to these other places where we're attracting this talent back. And so that's why those partnerships are so important. And I'm hoping there's a lot of people that I know talent is a major issue out there from all of our businesses. We hear about it. So this is a great resource and a great tool for us to really start moving the needle and bringing more people to this region as we continue to grow.
Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been so awesome to hear from you.
Great. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here and have the conversation. It's an important topic. Happy to be here.
Thanks so much.
Center State CEO's podcast, Talk CNY, is presented by NBT Bank and is available on clickcny.com and all major podcast platforms.
After each episode, you can join us on Click. We will continue to chat about this topic and provide additional resources and links.
In Click, you can also listen to or watch every episode in this series of Talk CNY.
Click is Center State CEO's interactive digital chamber platform, where our members connect, learn, and receive support from our staff.
For new episode reminders every other Wednesday, be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast listening app. If you're enjoying Talk CNY, consider leaving a review or 5-star rating.